Think about how much Americans actually love, you know, punishing criminals. And this is a instance where they are not interested in punishing a criminal who did the fucking worst crime you could do. It's just an assassination in broad daylight. Politicians are so unimaginably disconnected from their constituents and their interests. And not only that, but also so is the media. And this is yet another instance where all of these institutions are like trying to present themselves as civility understanders, norm understanders, institution defenders.
And change for a patient's allergy injection. And they had done an audit and said that they weren't going to cover that bill of $12 and change. I am a doctor, and I have no idea why they're able to deny this.
Does anyone else feel like they're having everything denied and need to appeal lately? I mean, I'm talking about joint replacements for a patient with bone-on-bone arthritis needing to get appealed for no reason. Like, what do we do? How can we make this end? I just feel like I'm in this cycle, spending more time dealing with insurance companies than with patients.
Insurance is the largest roadblock to just attaining proper treatment, access to healthcare. And it's just like we're just bleeding money left and right in this healthcare industry. And who is it benefiting? Not benefiting me as a doctor.
The guy's gonna get away with the cops seem lost. I mean, ironically enough, a part of the reason why the cops seem lost is because every aspect of American society, including fucking policing, is also crippled by the same profit motive that undermines every institution, because they're using like artificial intelligence and shit. I mean, cops also are just really bad at their jobs in general, and this is yet another instance of them being really bad at their jobs and being bad at their jobs in broad fucking daylight.
What I mean, what are they supposed to do? Bring on the precogs? What?
It's not benefiting the patient. Who is it actually benefiting?
Wow, here to help us understand why so many people are so very angry is CBS News medical contributor Dr. Celine Gounder. She's editor-at-large for public health at KFF Health News. Really glad to have you here, especially on this particular day. Listen, we can all agree that the system is broken. We all agree on that, but it seems that people are having a hard time separating the broken system for the person. The fact that so many people are gleeful is the word that this has happened to this man just sort of stuns me. How did we get here?
Look, vigilante justice is not okay.
Yeah.
We do have a country of law and order where there are systems to address these issues, which we can talk about more. But look,
like, if you don't want, it's simple, okay? If you don't want the Me Too movement to like randomly get out of control and start yelling at like people for having like a bad date or whatever, then the systems can't fail victims of sexual assault, okay? And the same goes for this. If you don't want people to release the pressure that they fucking feel, if you don't want vigilante justice, and I don't want vigilante justice, because there is obviously vigilante justice is uncontrolled. Okay, it turns into some of the most damaging aspects of the Cultural Revolution. You know what I mean? It's decentralized. It's primarily focused on revenge. Okay, and it can be its starting point can be an adequate point of anger, okay, a real point of anger, but it never ends in that situation. It never ends with only the appropriate victims, or I mean the appropriate targets. Okay.
Why is the right so obsessed with alternative nutrition stuff like carnivore diet, raw milk, etc.? I've never understood it. I think there's a lot of big things going on today. I think one thing that we have is I think people just don't realize how good society is right now in the United States. It's so crazy that like the average mood is so low, but our standards of living have never been higher. Like we literally, like maybe it's always been like this, but we found assuming no major side effects are found, like Ozempic might literally be the vaccination equivalent of like the 21st century, or pick some other medicine, since half you fucking retards don't believe in vaccines anymore. Like we have discovered so much and we're making progress in so many areas, and the standards of living are so high in the West, but it just feels everybody's like Everybody feels so like everything is falling apart, is horrible. It's like, how? What's happening right now? what? We destroyed, we demolished every other country when it came to surviving and coming out of COVID, when it came to managing inflation compared to other places. Like, Americans just have no concept of what the rest of the world is like. And it's so funny when you go to international forums. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased towards the industry area that I work in, but like listening to tech people who live and work in the United Kingdom, whoo, it's like not even remotely close. Like the United States is doing so well, so many different ways. But like everybody's being fed this idea that everybody is fucked and everything is being destroyed and everything is falling apart and everything is horrible and everything is, it's like, no, chill, not generally. We're doing fine. Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
So if you don't want vigilante justice, you have to fix the problems. And I think that a lot of people, a lot of these institutions are so woefully incompetent and are so used to not fixing these issues that it doesn't matter. Yep, Hasan, just remember he's the CEO of his own company. Yeah. I mean, look, I am the CEO of my own company. I'm not. But listen, if I get murked, it's going to be a fucking psychopath, neo-Nazi.
One of your problems, Destiny, easy, was calling inflation global inflation. We don't share the same currency. Each currency is different globally. I understand why, dude. That's because you listen to a lot of retards that think that inflation just has to do with the Fed printing money and it's just more dollars. And if the Fed and more dollars is inflation because it's the Fed and inflation. I got it, buddy.
Very likely. Or like a Destiny fan. All right.
Based.
And I'm going to get murked because of the things I speak on that many of you agree with.
People are suffering. People don't feel the benefits as tangibly. This is why Trump won. You should revalue this perspective because the rest of the country doesn't share it. That's fine. I understand. I agree that they don't share it, but you're not suffering. You just think you are. And sometimes that's all that matters. I mean, like, if you want to go down whatever fucking road we're going to go down because you think you're suffering, eventually you'll truly suffer. And then you'll really know what it means like to suffer. And suffering is not complaining about the cost of groceries when you spend, $150 a month on DoorDash and Uber Eats. Suffering is not, I can't afford rent when you have to split with 2 or 3 roommates to live in, a 10-minute drive from a downtown major fucking area. Like, you don't know what, if you're in America, you just don't know what it means. I remember the complaints about this during the Iraq War, that Americans didn't know what it, I think it was the Iraq War, when the one complaint that a lot of older people had was that Americans don't know what it feels like to be at war because it was so detached from us and on TV and sensationalized and like media. And even to some extent, I think Vietnam, Americans didn't really know until people started coming back injured. And then that was when people were like, wait a second, what's going on here? Why are a lot of our boys coming back fucked up? What's going on? But yeah, we're super mega detached from everything. But hey, I mean, whatever. All the imagined pains and sufferings of the Republican Party aside, what do you think is actually wrong with America right now, if anything? I mean, I think things we can do better to like move forward and improve. I think there are things that would be nice to improve, but we can't even think about improving those things. We're like not even close to being in a spot where we can even have those conversations because we think everything is falling apart, right? How can you build a higher building if you think that the foundations are rotted? Like, I don't know what to...
It is what it is. If it happens, it happens. Nothing I can do about it. Having said that, okay, I'm not in here to fucking defend the honor and protection of CEOs. I'm not saying that at all.
Should the U.S. have higher standards? I'm a student in Europe and I don't know anyone who has roommates. Is that true? I don't know many European college people, I guess. But I've always heard that, and I know this from living in hotels and being in a lot of European apartments, generally European living spaces are much smaller, much smaller than American living spaces. But I don't know what country you're from or what country you're in, so. Is the debt not a problem? Maybe a little bit. I think we should probably try to balance the budget and probably start chipping away at it a little bit. But debt is not bad. That is not a bad thing intrinsically. Hold on. You know what? Maybe we'll do this. Do you understand why debt can be good? I can explain this if we need. I don't know if people truly understand this or not. Here you go. Okay. All right. We should have debt. It's good. It's good to have debt. It allows you to pay for things now that you wouldn't normally be allowed to pay for. No. Kind of, but no. That's a poor person. No, I shouldn't even say poor person. That is good because of leverage. That's why. And leverage is important, okay? Because if you're growing, you want to grow even more. That's the whole point of debt, is to be able to leverage things, ideally. Literally almost every other non-Western country endlessly repeats the line, the West has fallen, almost with glee. I have an Indian friend who says it all the time. It's so annoying. Yeah, but then people in the West say it as well. So it's like so cringe. Can you explain the leverage? Well, most people said they understood why debt is good, so fine of odd. Look at me explain it in the past. I think I spit on you. Do you have any color combos like blue and white? I don't know. I'll look for new shit. The thing is, in Miami, I can't really wear many different types of clothes because it's fucking hot. There is no layering here. That's why we need to move to New York.
London is the shithole of Europe right now. It is one of the worst places you can be in Europe.
Nice. But isn't not being in debt better, though? No. I know why U.S. debt is good, but why is it bad? Are we actually going to have too much? Then other countries stop doing business with us? No. Or maybe. It depends. Debt is good for the same reason why it's bad, which is leverage. It amplifies gains and it amplifies losses. Does that say read YouTube chat? No. Do you think living spaces are similar in size in urban centers in the U.S. like New York City where people also live in apartments? New York City might be one of the smallest, but I don't know. Is there a way we can check? What is like the average square footage of like a New York apartment versus like a London apartment? The problem is New York is a big city and London is like your average apartment sizes like way out in Queens or whatever, or the Bronx or Brooklyn is going to be a lot different than like in Manhattan, right? Why do people talk about that debt as a bad thing and why not go into more debt? Because most people, consumers don't utilize debt. A second one to ask people to understand leverage. Consumers don't utilize debt as a form of leverage. They utilize debt to buy things that they can't afford right now, but they want right now. It's a different thing. Isn't the question of whether or not the United States should take on debt dependent on whether or not we are able to allocate capital in a manner that generates excess free cash flows? If we are unable to do so, leveraging that capital is pointless and destructive. Cool. The bad part about debt is you rely on other countries buying it to fill your deficit the past 2 years. Can't you just sell debt to ordinary citizens, assuming there's money in the economy? I mean, if your economy is crashing, obviously, or if you're... When I speak about debt also, I'm speaking from an American perspective. We have a very strong economy. We've got a big export market. We have the ability to, like, the debt of the United States is backed up by the United States economy, right?
Okay, first of all, first of all, before we go into any of this, I just need to watch this again, okay? I just need to watch this again because Hasan is such an unbelievable moron. We saw this yesterday, okay?
Oh no.
He did this video about
Oh no. He's gonna say
5 days ago.
He's gonna say the
commenting
dumbest
on
shit.
the rebel offensive in Syria against
no.
Assad.
What's he gonna say?
And
He's gonna say it's U.S. backed. No, it's an Israeli. They're working with Israel, so they're automatically bad, and they're with ISIS. This is just Israel and ISIS working together to kill innocent Arabs. That's my guess.
spends most of this video just doing his basic dumb fuck analysis. Like, he obviously doesn't know anything about what's happening recently or what's the factions are involved. The way he was talking about HTS made it sound like he thinks HTS and the SNA are basically the same group. He kept on doing this whole thing like these Turkish-backed, Turkish-controlled, Turkish like directed factions, which again, HTS does have some overlap with Turkey, but the way he was talking about it made it seem like he was talking about the actual completely Turkish-dependent group north of.
I wonder if Syria is failing because Russia can no longer support the regime with weapons the way they used to because of the war in Ukraine. Well, there's that, and also probably Hezbollah being significantly hampered by Israel probably was also a big factor. I think Hezbollah has helped Assad maintain his stability in Syria for quite a while, is my understanding.
Aleppo, which is SNA, the guys who fight with Kurds. He goes through this, and like the only thing he really has to say about HTS and Jilani is like NATO, like Al Qaeda, ISIS, but also Western-backed because they have connections to Turkey, which is in NATO, and America's NATO, so NATO like supports Jilani. Even though Jilani has like a $10 million bounty on his head from the United States, he's still a designated terrorist by them. And he says this thing here, responding to someone in his chat, and it's just one of the most blatant self-reports I've ever seen in my life. Like,
oh no.
Syria's leader is thought to be visiting Moscow.
The HTS has stated they don't support Gaza, Israel. Wow, I'm shocked. Wow, that's really interesting.
He just completely believes it with no, it's not true, okay? HTS leader has, if you know anything, just a cursory understanding of the factions involved. If someone told you that the HTS guy said he doesn't support Gaza, you would double take, you would flame that chatter, you would demand a source, because it doesn't gel with anything. It gels with nothing they've done for the last 10 years. But he just eats it all up. And not only does he eat it up, okay? He riffs off of it.
Oh, I'm shocked. Wow, that's really interesting. One must ask the question, why so many of these Salafist groups who are supposed to be the Islamist fundamentalists that are quite literally presented as the Hamas alternative by Western media.
It's ironic he says that as well, because all he's been saying about HTS up until this point is like ex-Al-Qaeda, ISIS, whatever, and looking around in the pictures for black flags. Like,
seemingly always find themselves not at odds with Israel, but directly in coordination with Israel.
Based. Jews control so much, they even control the fucking Arabs.
Yeah. Yeah, they're against Israel's enemies, okay? This doesn't mean that the Assad government
oh my God.
Okay.
Coordinating with Israel. HTS. Jilani.
Don't ever forget, the reason why people like Hasan get mad at movements like this is Hasan always loves he loves the most amount of dead Arabs. That's always the most beneficial thing for him because it gives him the most amount of stuff to make content off of. When Arabs stop dying, Hasan has nothing left to complain about, and he would have to actually comment on something else. So it's always in the best interests of people in the West, the white-coated Arabic people that live the wealthiest fucking lives, is always to have the maximum amount of Arab death possible. That's why it's to support people like Ansar Allah, the Houthis. It's why he supports people like Hezbollah, who murder fucking people in Syria. It's why he supported people like Hamas. And Sinwar, who was called the Butcher of Gaza. That's always, always, always maximally dead Arabs. It's always the goal for people like this, so they always have something to complain about.
You know what? He's so lucky that no one in his audience gives a fuck about Syria, because this would be it's such a self-contained description of everything that's wrong with this fucking propagandist dipshit. Like, setting yourself up to say that because there's like a Turkish involvement with HTS, and apparently, I guess, just him not knowing the difference between HTS and the SNA, and then saying that because Turkey's in NATO, well, that means they're connected to the United States because the United States is in NATO, therefore it's an American project. Like that.
So I'll be honest, I don't know as much about I know Israel-Palestine, and then I know some of the surrounding Arab history as a result of learning that. I think Turkey is like its own monster I shouldn't say monster. Turkey is just like its own thing in the Middle East. Like, Turkey is not part of NATO in the Middle East. Turkey is just like its own dude who he's just like here to fuck shit up. And that's it. Like if it sees a Russian jet, they'll shoot it down, even though you absolutely shouldn't be doing that if you're NATO. If you see some like Kurds that are just kind of like hanging out, you'll blow the fuck up out of them, you know, even though you probably shouldn't be doing that. If you can ship some weapons to Hamas to go fuck with Israel, you'll do that because fuck Israel if you're Turkey, right? Turkey is just like its own. I don't even know what Turkey, I don't know. I don't know Turkey. I don't know anything about it. I don't know their motivations. I don't know what the fuck. I have no idea. Turkey's just like its own fucking thing. So anybody that would try to like cleanly map Turkey onto like U.S. interests I think it's fucking stupid. I think it's dumb.
That level of analysis is so brain dead and so cartoonish that you would just be telling on yourself for the rest of fucking eternity as a commentator on anything to do with international policy, to do with foreign policy. Like, you're just writing yourself off in the space of a few seconds. Like,
Turkey only shot Russian planes because they invaded NATO airspace, so they were literally following the rules. Oh, I found the Turkish guy in chat. True.
Audio bugging. Oh, fuck. And I wasn't recording. Oh, fuck. Why would it cut out? It's not cutting out on OBS. That would be a YouTube problem because my frame rate is fine. Let me have a look at it. Let me refresh the audio. Turkish and Hasan, that eternity, it doesn't probably put the 600 Gaza times.
One must ask the question, Israel. Wow, I'm shocked. Wow, that's really interesting. One must ask the question why so many of these Salafist groups, who are supposed to be the Islamist fundamentalists that are quite literally presented as the Hamas alternative by Western media, seemingly always find themselves not at odds with Israel, but directly in coordination with Israel.
Coordinate? Yeah, he got it from a chatter. This is his on-the-ground journalism. He got this from a chatter. Not only did he completely swallow it, he riffed on it and started elaborating on it as if that confirms his suspicions or some shit. Like, yes, well, you see, this is actually the trend with these extremist Salafist groups. That
I mean, it's the same thing we do with streamers too, right? Especially on, right? Oh, Destiny said that he wants to, slit my throat and scream Allahu Akbar while impersonating a fucking terrorist murdering me. Well, of course he did. I mean, Destiny's talked about this. It's like, wait, hold on. Wait, no, I've never said this. You just like riff off a thing and try to say without ever fact checking it ever. Yeah.
Seem to not come into direct conflict with the... Like, it's so stupid.
Israel, wow, I'm shocked.
Moscow.
Yeah, it's here. The HCS has stated they don't support Gaza, etc. by Red Star, a reliable source, you can see here. It's so unbelievable. Okay, just to give you an impression, okay? Jilani is from a family of refugees from the Golan Heights. People who were...
And the establishment of institutional structures within the liberated areas of Syria. This institutionalization included the restructuring within military factions. The revolution has transitioned from chaos and randomness to a state of order, both in civil and institutional matters. The most important thing is to build institutions. We are not talking about rule by individuals or personal whims. It's about...
Where's that meme on Twitter? Read Why Nations Fail Once or whatever.
Institutional governance. Syria deserves a governing system that is institutional, not one where a single ruler makes arbitrary decisions. There must be a legal framework that protects and ensures the rights of all, not a system that serves only one sect, as Assad's regime has done. Once that task is complete, it will transition to a state of governance, institutions, and so on. And the establishment of institutions